I'm going to show you how endurance mode works on the Msi Claw 8 using Art of Rally. So you can see at the moment I'm on the 30 watt manual profile and it's pulling around 30 watts from the CPU, 42 watts overall. I'm getting 82 frames a second. So if I change this, let's say to AI engine, that tends to run around the 17 watt CPU profile. It seems to hover around 17, so you can see the CPU power going down, 14, 15, 15, 17 watts. You can see that we're on 68 frames a second, 25 watts total power, and 16 watts CPU power, so pretty good. Now let's look at endurance mode. So people think that endurance mode just turns on 30 frames a second mode with auto TDP, so the system will adjust the power to keep it at 30 frames a second. Now that's true if you just switch to endurance mode on its own. However, when you switch to endurance mode, a new option opens within the Intel graphics control panel. So if we open the Intel graphics control panel here, see this says endurance gaming auto, so it defaults to efficiency mode, so that's the 30 frames a second mode. However, if you change this from efficiency to balanced, what it will actually do is, when we go back to the game, instead of being 30 frames a second, it will be 40 frames a second. So now it'll try and stick to around 40 frames a second. In this game it seems to be about 38, but we can see we're pulling 11 watts from the CPU and 18 watts overall. What we can also do is we can go back to the control panel and put this to performance. I've seen various reports of what this does. Some people say it does 60 frames a second. It seems to in this game be about 50 frames a second. So you can see there 50 frames a second, so it's like an auto TDP function. So if we then go back to manual mode, we can see the power is going to go back up again, 80 frames a second. And then if we switch to endurance mode, let's see what it does. I don't actually know what it's going to do. It's going to go back to 30. Yep, it goes back to 30. So effectively, when you change mode within the quick settings, it turns off the endurance mode within the Intel control panel and effectively resets it back to the 30 frames per second default. So that's how it works. You may as well set your manual mode to 30 because AI Engine tends to go to around 17 watts, so there's no point putting manual on 17 watts. But basically that's how endurance mode works. And I've seen some people complaining, not understanding how this works with the Intel control panel, but that is how it works.